Hello, I'm Lauren, the Study Skills Advisor here at Yungarendi, and this is the Study Skills blog, and today I'm giving you my introduction to essay writing, the first in my essay writing series. Essays are a piece of writing that most of us feel pretty familiar with, right? You probably had to write a bunch of them at school, and in many topics they make up the bulk of assessment. But do you actually feel confident that you know what you're doing when you're writing an essay, or even what is expected of you? Essays, particularly in an academic context, are all about transmitting your ideas and your knowledge to others. And we usually do this in the form of an argument. So by putting forward a claim, writing supporting premises for that claim, and using evidence to support those premises, we not only demonstrate our understanding of the topic, but we also demonstrate our critical thinking skills, our ability to communicate effectively, our persuasive communication, and we're better able to process our learning. And it's all of these things that make them really one of the favoured pieces of writing for your lecturers and your tutors. But essays are also quite a complex piece of writing, and they can take a little while to get good at. The good news is that once you've got the formula down, once you know what you're doing, you can do very, very well in them. And depending on your discipline, they can be quite a creative exercise as well. So once you understand the structure and all of the components of an essay, you might be surprised to find how much freedom you can have with them once you know the rules. I think that they're really often quite a perfect outlet to articulate ideas. And believe it or not, I sometimes write essays for fun, because I'm that kind of nerd. But of course, they don't always seem this simple or approachable on the surface. So let's break it down a little bit. One of the reasons they don't seem this easy, I think, is a lot of people don't necessarily understand the relationship and the importance of argument in developing not just the content of your essay, but also how that fundamentally feeds into the structure. And I think that this is also largely because we often don't even see the word argument written anywhere on our assignment instructions or in the rubric, and so you may not even realize what you're doing when you're writing an essay as presenting an argument. I think this is often made more difficult because at university we're so often told that we must remain objective, right? That you're not allowed to be personal or subjective in your writing. But the thing about arguments is that fundamentally they are an opinion. They kind of are quite subjective. You're being asked a question and asked to take a position on that question, or even if it's a very straightforward question, at least prioritize the kind of information that you're going to present. And this often necessarily means you need to take sides. The difference is that in an academic argument, that opinion is just our starting point. And then we build that logically, persuasively, and with reference to strong supporting evidence. You might also feel uncomfortable making an argument because you think that your tutor wants to see a specific correct answer to a question. And yes, sometimes there are very straightforward essay questions, and they might have very particular criteria about what needs to appear in that essay. But a lot of the times you get asked these quite broad essay questions, and it's up to you to find your own content and think about how you're going to respond to that question. And in these cases, there simply isn't one single correct answer. You could approach a topic from dozens of different positions. The important thing is that you're doing it well, that you're using your critical thinking skills, your analytical skills, your research skills, your argument is evidence-based. And if you're doing all of those things well, even if your tutor disagrees with your position, you've still written a good essay. So in this essay writing series, I'm going to begin to address some of these concerns. We'll begin by analysing the question, which seems like a pretty obvious thing to do, but take my word for it, I have witnessed students not doing it properly. It's fundamentally important and it's worth spending some time on, so we're going to talk about that. Next, we'll discuss planning and outlining an essay, which is, I think, honestly, the most important part of the essay writing process. If you don't have a good plan and if you don't develop an outline, you don't know what you're arguing, and therefore you're not going to have a very strong essay. So I'm going to talk about why that's so important and how we can do it. Plus, good planning helps you break down what can often be a really overwhelming task into quite manageable chunks. So there's that as well. Next, we will break down what an argument actually is. So how do you write an argument? What is it made up of? And how does this argument structure your essay? And that leads me to the next post, which is about essay structures. So what do you need to include in your introduction, your main body paragraphs, your conclusion, how do they all connect together? And after that, I'll go through some things to avoid when writing an essay. So what are some common traps that students fall into? What are some bad argument techniques? So how can you make sure that your essay is as strong as possible? So these will be coming soon in video form. They already exist in blog form, so check them out. And if you have any questions or comments, of course, please let me know, comment below, and I will see you in the next video very soon.